The URC is back. It's time for another week of rugby, and it's getting to the business end of the season. We are in round 15 of the URC, and in this video we're going to be going over our preview and predictions for every single game. It's going to be a very exciting week of rugby. It's kind of do or die for some teams right now, especially chasing that top 8. Could there be a team that maybe falls out of the top 8? Could there be a few teams that make their way into the top 8? I don't know, but it's going to be a very exciting week of rugby and could honestly kind of shape a bit of the future of the tournament going forward. First game of the weekend, we have Edinburgh versus Zebre. I've got Edinburgh winning this one. They've struggled a lot this season. It's been a very disappointing season for them. But Zebre has been quite good throughout the whole season, but I just don't think they have the firepower to beat this Edinburgh team. But nonetheless, I think it's going to be a very entertaining game. Probably one of the lesser spoken about games coming up this weekend, but I think Edinburgh right now, it's important for them to get a win on the board. And for Zebre, for them, it's just about building and keep on building. They're not going to make the playoffs this year, but Edinburgh still maybe has a fighting chance. But Zebre has been a lot more competitive this year. And to be honest, I think a lot more of the lower teams in the table have been a lot more competitive this year as well. But I've got Edinburgh winning this one at home. I think, to be honest, if Edinburgh do lose this one, I will be quite surprised. Moving on to the next game, we have the Dragons versus the Bulls in Wales. This is going to be a very exciting game. I know maybe a lot of Bulls fans are thinking, oh, it's the Dragons. We're going to really easily beat these guys. But I'd say the Dragons had quite a successful tour in South Africa. They kept it quite close with the Stormers. They had a bit of a difficult game thereafter, but this Dragons team is really building every single week. From last year till now, they've completely changed the way they play. Some of their players do have international experience, and they are showing it right now. I mean, guys like Rio Dyer have been playing really well recently, and some of their other players have just been standing out a lot and showing that they might have what it takes to play at international level. That being said, I do think this Bulls team right now is a very strong team. They've chosen a strong touring squad as well. They are definitely going to target trying to win this competition. I know it's crazy to talk about that, thinking of where they started the season, but this Bulls team right now is probably looking like the strongest South African team right now, just based on form, based on the squad they have, the players they have, the depth they have. They've chosen a very good touring squad as well, so I do think the Bulls will win this game, but it's going to be a very tough challenge, not an easy game by any means. Moving on to our next game, and this is our first Irish derby of the week. This is going to be a very exciting game to watch. Ulster versus Leinster in Ulster. Now, this is a very difficult one to try to predict because both teams are looking really good right now. I think Nick Timoney might not be playing this week. I saw he did pick up an injury in their previous game, or it might have been in the week as well. In the training week, I'm not too sure. But that being said, I think this is going to be a very, very close game. I don't know if Leinster will choose their strongest team right now. I do think that Leinster is quite confident that if they were to go to the playoffs, they could go away from home and still get wins. So for them, it's not really about, they're not really going to care about getting that home final right now, the home semi-final, because they'll take it one game as it comes. But right now, they're in a very good position to win the Champions Cup. They've just come off a physical game against the Sale Sharks. They did play well. I'm not sure if the entire full-strength Leinster team will play, but if they do, I think Leinster might just win this game. But that being said, I don't think they will play their strongest team. So I'm going with Ulster to win this one. I think it's going to be a very bruising game. Ulster's got some really good players, looking really good right now. And both these teams are kind of pushing for a top 2, top 3 spot on the table, trying to get that home playoff spot, potentially a home semi-final as well. So very, very important game for both these teams. But I just think Ulster at home are going to be the better team on the day. And I just don't see Leinster playing their full strength team right now, especially with the confidence they have in their squad to tour away from home and get wins away from home. But that being said, if Leinster did choose their strongest team, it might be a bit of a different story. I still think it'll be a close game, but I'm going with Ulster to win this one at home. Might be a bit of a shock result there, but I do think this Ulster team right now is looking really strong, looking really poised and ready to win some big games in this tournament. They are definitely a team that if they get some home quarterfinals, home semi-finals, we could see Ulster in a final this year if that's the case. They're looking really good right now, a very good squad, and from where they were a few years ago to now, you can just see the kind of the identity of the team has just changed so much that they found their identity as a team. They found their kind of style of play, and it's a really exciting style to watch. But Ulster at home are becoming a bit of a very tough team to beat. Next up, we have the Stormers versus Connacht in Cape Town. This is going to be a very interesting game because Connacht's taken quite a strong squad to Cape Town. They are obviously missing Finlay Beelum and Bundi Aki, which I think will make a big difference. But right now for Connacht, they're in a very kind of important position in their season where they are fighting for a top 8 spot, and if they don't win the next few games, they're going to be fighting for their life to try get into the top 8. And I do think that the Cardiff team could be the team that maybe might be the target to try drop out of the top 8, but they've also got some pretty good games that they can win. So I do think that Connacht team, honestly, they do have a strong team, but I just don't think they'll be strong enough to beat the Stormers in Cape Town. But I know this Connacht team is a very gritty team. They will not go out without a fight. That being said, I do think the Stormers will win this game. I've seen a lot of kind of rumblings that they might play Yuri Mattia at 10, Damian Willemse at 12, and Sasha at fullback, or Willemse at fullback and Sasha at 12. And that's going to be very exciting to see. Those kind of 3 really key pivots for the Stormers team. If they do play, I would really like to see Sasha at 15 with Willemse at 12, because I do think Damian Willemse's future in the Springboks could be at 12 after the 2027 World Cup. But that's going to be a very interesting game. This Connacht team is going to put up a big fight. Can the Stormers team keep winning at home? Can they stay winning at their home stadium? I think they can, but I think right now is a very important time for the Stormers to kind of pick up their act a bit. They were really good away from home at Toulon. At home, they've just been playing some sluggish rugby, throwing the ball around a bit carelessly and just trying to do too many things individually. So I think from a Stormers perspective, a win would be very good for them to try boost their chances of a home quarterfinal, home semi-final. But that being said, they need to focus on the rugby they're playing right now, because the results have been taking care of themselves, but they just need to focus on playing some better rugby that could translate well to the playoffs when they do make it there. So I think the Stormers to win that game, but it's going to be a very good game of rugby to watch. Next up, we have the Lions versus Glasgow. This is going to be a very good game of rugby. I know people from Europe probably think, oh, they're going to the Lions, probably the weakest South African team right now. Not at all. The Lions right now are playing like the informed team. I think the Bulls and the Lions now probably are the 2 informed teams in South Africa right now. Going to Ellis Park to play in Johannesburg is always tough. And this Lions team right now, when they play at home, they're becoming almost like an Ulster or a Glasgow team where they're just very difficult to beat at home. I do think Glasgow right now is going to probably play their best players to try get that, secure that potential home final spot, because they are kicked out of the Champions Cup now. Very unfortunate loss for them there. They honestly are, as a squad, going to try bounce back. How many of their strongest players will play this week? How many of them will have toured right after playing a big Champions Cup quarterfinal? I'm not sure that many, so I don't know if it'll be the strongest Glasgow team. But that being said, the Glasgow squad this year is very strong. They've got a lot of depth. I think they're going to really challenge the Lions. But I just think this week that the Lions are going to beat Glasgow. I don't know why I've got that feeling. Honestly, before I did this video, I kind of wrote down my predictions and I wrote Glasgow to win. But talking about it now, talking about the guys from the Lions that are playing really good rugby, they're the SA Shield champions. They're playing very good rugby. A lot of guys kind of putting up their hands for a Springbok selection. This is a very important game for some of these players to try get in that Springbok squad, to try push forward in their careers, and also for the Lions team to try push for a home quarterfinal, because they honestly might be able to do it, and that would be absolutely huge for the Lions franchise. So I do think the Lions are going to win this game, but I think it's going to be a very close game. And that being said, if Glasgow wins, of course, I will not be surprised. But I do think that the Lions-Glasgow game probably is the game to watch this week, other than the Ulster-Leinster game. Those are going to be the 2 games, I think. Honestly, if you only have time to watch 2 games, I think Ulster versus Leinster and Lions versus Glasgow in Ellis Park, it's going to be a very entertaining game. Moving on to the next game, we have Scarlets versus Cardiff. Now, this is going to be a very, very tough game for Cardiff. They have to win this game. Welsh derbies are always physical, they're tough, they're hard to win. That being said, I do see Cardiff winning this game. Cardiff is the strongest Welsh team right now, and I think Cardiff, honestly, right now is going to boost their chances even more of going into the top 8, into the playoffs. I do think Cardiff probably is the one team that might be able to fall out of the top 8. But that being said, I think they honestly might win their next 2 games, which might kind of take them clear of the other teams as well. So the other teams that are chasing them have to keep winning. But if Cardiff keeps winning, it's all going to be for nothing, because I think this Cardiff team has a very good chance of making the top 8. I think it's going to be a very tough game because Scarlets are playing at home. Scarlets when the Scarlets play these Welsh derbies, they play such good rugby. They play some really dominant rugby. Like they're very tough to beat. They play some really gritty rugby. They kind of flex their muscles a bit. They play physical rugby. But I just think this Cardiff team right now, they have a lot more to play for right now. Obviously, the Welsh derbies, there is a lot to play for. And I think all form before a derby game, before a South African derby, before an Irish derby, before an Italian derby, before a Welsh derby, all the form before that game you can throw out the window, because it doesn't matter going into the game. It's all about what happens on the day. I just think this Cardiff team right now has got some good players, good combinations. They're kind of gelling together as a team. And I think they're going to honestly right now, to end the season, end off really strong with a potential push to try and make a semi-final this year. So I'm kind of backing Cardiff for this one. I think Cardiff will get the win away from home, but it's going to be a very tough game for them to win. It's going to be a very kind of gritty game, and they're going to have to dig deep to win this game. Will they have the kind of heart to dig deep? I think they will, but the Scarlets team is going to come out trying to absolutely batter the Cardiff team, so that's going to be a really fun game to watch as well. Moving on to the next one. Benetton versus Munster. Now, Benetton is one of my favorite teams to watch in this competition. I love Benetton. I love the stadium. I love the players that play for them. I just have this thing where I really enjoy watching Italian rugby. I enjoy watching the Italian players, the kind of passion they play with. Like with them against Exeter last week, I mean, the Connacht brothers were running over people. They were passionate about it. It was such a fun game of rugby to watch. Benetton also do have a chance to make the top 8 to try and make the playoffs. But that being said, Munster right now are also fighting for a spot in the top 8. And for all the teams that are currently in the top 8, they are fighting to stay in the top 8. But they're also fighting to try and get a spot in the top 4 to get a home quarter final. And I think if Munster does get a home quarter final, they'll be really tough to beat. So they're going to be pushing for that home quarter final because Munster at home is a very tough team to beat. So honestly, looking at the games this weekend, I think a lot of teams that have been playing home recently for a lot of games are playing away from home. There have been a lot of big wins in recent weeks. I think this week, honestly, looking at the games, it looks like there's going to be a lot of close fixtures, a lot of close score lines. So keep an eye out for this weekend. I think it's going to be a very entertaining and a lot more of a close and more competitive week of URC rugby. But that being said, I do think Munster's going to get the win, but it's going to be very difficult to beat this Benetton team away from home that's also playing for something to kind of make the playoffs this year. So that's also going to be an entertaining game. And I really am excited for this week of rugby and the next few weeks of URC rugby because there's a lot more on the line. It just feels like the intensity is ramped up a bit. All the players are going to play. They're playing for a playoff spot. They're playing for home quarterfinals. They're playing to try make it through to their first playoffs in the URC. So I think it's going to be a very interesting week of rugby. But that being said, the last game of the week, Ospreys versus the Sharks. I've got the Sharks winning this one. Now, the Sharks are not normally a team that's very good at touring away from home. Ospreys normally do have the Sharks number at home. But I just think the Sharks team this year is a bit of a different team with JP Peterson as their coach. They've got a different culture, a different style. They've found a style that suits them, trusting their defense a bit more, not trying to play too much rugby, but also relying on their skills sometimes when the opportunities do show themselves. The Ospreys have a very good team. They have a chance of making the playoffs, which is why I think this game is also going to go down to the very last minute of the game or the last 10 minutes of the game. But I just think the Sharks team right now is showing some signs of more quality, some of their good players coming through. I mean, Emil van Heerden leading the forwards in the line-out time, having a much better season, and some of the younger guys for the Sharks really coming out and showing that they could potentially be Springbok call-ups. I mean, Vincent Chichuka at line-out time has been a menace. Pepsi Buthelezi has been really awesome, and a very exciting player to watch for this week, Zekatelo Siyaya from the Sharks. If you're not aware of Zekatelo Siyaya yet, he's an 18-year-old that finished high school last year. He went to Westfield Boys High School. He could be making his debut this week, but don't be fooled. Just because he's making his debut does not make him a weak link on the field. I think he honestly, if he does make his debut, could have a chance to be man of the match. That's how good this guy is. He's only 18 years old. He has to play under 20 this year, but he is definitely one to watch. He probably will play fullback. I've seen the squad that they've sent. He probably will play fullback or wing or be on the bench, but why not just chuck him in the deep end and put him at fullback? He's a very good player. He's a big guy as well. He's good under the high ball. He's very athletic. So if you are watching this game, keep an eye out for Zekatelo Siyaya, and that's why I think the Sharks will win this game. Not because of Zekatelo Siyaya. I think he's going to do amazing things, but because the youngsters are coming through and showing that they have what it takes to play at the top level right now. And I do think the Sharks team is trending up at the right time. So for me, I've got the Sharks winning this one. Let's just go through the results one more time that I've predicted. Edinburgh versus Zebre at home. I think Edinburgh is going to win that one. Dragons versus Bulls in Wales. I think the Bulls right now are oozing quality. I think they are going to win that one as well. Ulster versus Leinster. I've got Ulster winning that one. Might be a bit of a left field prediction, but I do think Ulster has what it takes to win at home against a very tough Leinster team. Next up, Stormers versus Connacht in Cape Town. I've got Stormers winning that one at home. Connacht are going to put up a very good fight. Could this be the first game the Stormers lose at home in a while? Maybe, but I just think that the Stormers team might kind of flip a switch right now after that Toulon game, so I've got the Stormers winning. Lions versus Glasgow. Originally I went with the Glasgow team. Now I'm going for the Lions. I think Lions at home right now are playing almost like the way Glasgow does at home, so they're very tough to beat, so I've got the Lions winning that one in the Highveld. Scarlets versus Cardiff, Welsh derby. I've got Cardiff winning that one. Benetton versus Munster. I've got Munster winning that one, but I will not be surprised if Benetton pull up a shock upset there. Ospreys versus Sharks. Ospreys have a very good chance of winning this game at home, but I think the Sharks are going to win this one. But let me know down below in the comments who you think is going to win this week. What team do you support? What do you think they're going to do this week? What are your predictions for the games? And if you do enjoy the content, please don't forget to like and subscribe to help the channel grow. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.